They got a Walmart Supercenter out there in Kansas.
They
Yes,
do have a Walmart Supercenter. And welcome to the 4 Tuesday in a Football podcast. I'm Adam, that's Cyrus, that's Miles, and that is Mike. And we were just talking about the San Diego Raiders game. Cyrus, you came in a little bit late on it, but
Yes, I did.
Mike was telling me earlier that for in any way, shape, or form, if I was able to watch that end of that game, that I needed to do that. However, I wasn't able to stay up to watch the entire game, so I quit watching after halftime. But as Mike was saying, we all know the scenario. If they both tied, they were both going to the playoffs, and that meant Pittsburgh was out. Which, hell yeah! If we have any Pittsburgh fans, listening or watching, fuck off and don't listen.
Damn Yinzers.
We don't need your support, but yeah, I'm just kidding, not really. But Mike, what were you
No,
saying?
please listen.
No, yeah,
No.
there you go.
So to recap my excitement about this game, it was one of the top 2 or 3 regular season games I've ever watched, and all the games I've watched on this planet, and there are many. And the reason why is because, all the stakes, right? If they tie, they both get in. What's the strategy? Do they both go for the tie? Also, is somebody going to play for the win? And Pittsburgh gets in, knocks the other team out. So fourth quarter, scores uneven. It doesn't seem like it's going to work out in a tie. It's like, okay, it's like 12 points difference or something. And then I think the Chargers score a touchdown. The Raiders do a field goal. Chargers come back on the last play of regulation, score a touchdown, and get the 2-point conversion. Supremely unlikely. And it wasn't just that they were converting fourth downs, rapid fire. The first 3 plays, the first, second, third down were just complete misses, incomplete, penalties, whatever. So fourth down was like 4th and 10 or more. And those were the ones that they hit. So it was just like, Jesus Christ, 3 or 4 times in this drive, they hit fourth downs. So anyway, they go to overtime. Raiders field goal, Chargers field goal. They burn a lot of clocks, and now there's like 2.5, 3 minutes left. Raiders get the ball back. And they had a pass to get up the field. They're like the 40, 45-yard line, almost midfield. Then they start running the ball, back-to-back plays. And Michaels and Collinsworth are both like, oh, man, they're bleeding the clock. I think they're going to go for the tie. And it really seemed like they were going to go for it. All the players, they start zooming in on the sidelines, and you're looking at their faces kind of like they're like, yeah, okay, we're good with this. I think everybody in the field was good with a scenario where they tied because everybody on the field would be playing this week.
Yeah.
But
right.
Brandon Staley, coaching extraordinaire, fucked everything up. Fucked it all up, man. He called a timeout for no reason at all when the Raiders were on the plus side of the field. They ran one more play, got in field goal range, and beat them. 2 seconds left.
The drama.
Yeah, and see, from what I understand, like you could see the players win, even the players from the Chargers, when their coach called the timeout, they were all like, "Dude, what the fuck, man?"
Because if he hadn't called it, the Raiders were going to let it go, and the clock would have hit 0, and they would have got in, and Roethlisberger would have got out, and everybody would have partied in the streets, man, including myself.
Yep.
And he called the timeout. As soon as he did, Collinsworth was like, "What?" And you could just hear his brain just exploding in his skull. Like, what is this guy doing? That guy, if he'd have got fired after that game, I would have understood it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of those decisions that loses a locker room. This loss or inability to tie in that kind of coaching decision, they came back from 15 points. That game, I thought it was over after it hit 29-15.
Yeah.
I thought the game was over. They pull off this miraculous comeback, and then it was the probably worst timeout I've ever seen.
Well, and
except for the back-to-back timeouts that get called, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, those suck too.
Yeah, another play that he had earlier in the game, Staley, for the Chargers, the game was still really close, and it was 4th and 10 from their own 18-yard line. It's probably third quarter, right? And he goes for it. Of course, they didn't get it. So they handed the ball to the Raiders at their own 18-yard line with the game close. And it was just like a free 3 points for them. And, it's just stuff like that. And he's done it all year. He goes for it too much. He's reckless, and it's just over-aggression. It's like a kid playing Madden. So I don't understand. I don't get it. Analytics or whatever.
Yeah. The analytics is going to be the downfall of a lot of teams right now. Cleveland Browns adopted that a few years ago. I mean, they even got the dude that Jonah Hill played in Moneyball. The guy that inspired that character in
Eric
Moneyball.
DeCosta.
Yeah, fucking Cleveland hired that guy and brought him in. And
That worked out great.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
0-16, 1-15.
And you see that so much more in the NFL. Mike Vrabel's the perfect example when he was in London and he went for it. At the end of the game, he went for 2 to win the game. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You have a chance to tie this game right now. We need this win. And, what was that last year? Yeah, that was last year.
It was. I think it was 2 seasons ago now.
Was it 2 seasons? Holy shit!
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Okay, but still, what's that?
Harbaugh in Baltimore, he lost 2 games this year going for it.
Yep.
The 2-point conversion.
And yes, I'll give these coaches the fact that, more times than not, they're going to get it. Especially, matter of fact, when Buffalo went for it when they played the Titans, could you not? How could you not go for it with Josh Allen? Well, I believe we even talked about this on the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't blame him one bit. Where I was working, I talked to a lot of guys, and they were all like, "Oh, I can't believe they did it. I can't believe they went for it." I was like, "Dude, Josh Allen is probably the most underrated quarterback with legs."
The thing with analytics, though, is what they don't account for? Momentum. Momentum is key in the NFL. I mean, for example, the divisional round a couple years ago between the Ravens and Titans. What started the big blowout in that game was Baltimore not converting a couple 4th and 1s. Lamar Jackson will convert a 4th and 1 80-90% of the time. But on those 2 stops, the Titans were able to score and get an insurmountable lead and made Lamar Jackson have to throw.
And we all know how that works out for him.
Indeed.
Well, I have a question about the analytics that maybe somebody knows. Are these analytics driven by people and their research, or are they driven by algorithms through computers and then just video and feed it through algorithms?
Based on
a bit of both.
Yeah, a lot of it's based on an aggregate of data, right? So over a period of like 8-10 years, teams that go for it 4th and 1 in the 3rd quarter are 65%. To get it, or teams that convert 4th and 1 are 55% likely to win the game, or in certain scenarios, like they have a lot of algorithms and things at play, but it's all based on things that have happened. And
that's what I mean, though. That research, that aggregate research you're talking about, is that put together by a person, or was that put together by algorithm? The initial step that you're talking about, because you see where my angle is here with that. I mean, it may be black and white to code something, but what you get out of it isn't necessarily black and white.
No, what you get out of it is definitely not black and white. Now,
it's still subjective. You can't rely on it 100%.
Especially in football, because football, the average career is literally 3 fucking years. 3 years is the average length in an NFL career. Yeah. What kind of algorithms or pattern of behavior, if you will, is really going to show you anything when it comes to these plays and those certain type of situations that make you either go for it or punt it or whatever, or are like in a certain play, are you going to call a blitz on this play because it's what I'm saying?
Yes, analytics are too black and white. They have no wiggle room, even though what they're providing you is subjective material, because however it's been put together is. Computers can read things out to you, and you can read things out of books, but how you interpret it is another thing from reading it. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Wherever this information is coming from is an interpretation. It's not necessarily as black and white as they try to make the analytics thing. Oh, it's worked 66% of the time. Well, maybe, but in your calculations. But does it apply right now?
Exactly.
And that's where the human element comes into it right there.
Right. And further on that point, yeah, Dean Pease. So Dean Pease used to be the Titans DC, and now he's in Atlanta. He had there was some clip of him in the press last week shitting all over analytics, and he's like, analytics can't tell you what the weather is. It can't tell you how well your defense has played that day. And if you're up by 2 points, do you go for it on 4th down? Because if you give the ball back to them, are they going to steamroll your defense? Because are you in like a 42-40 game, or are you in a 6-3 game? Like those things make a difference. But I think even deeper than that, which I agree with him what he said. even deeper than that, analytics doesn't know who you got playing center, guard, or tackle. It doesn't know if you can run off the left or the right. It doesn't know if you got J.J. Watt over here or if you got, some rookie backup guy over here. Like, these are all things that you can't account for. And, if they have subs in the game, if there's, an odd guy in the formation, if they have 10 guys instead of 11 on defense, like, none of this stuff is factored into these numbers. So I feel like analytics is a good tool to use. It's a good guide, but you also have to adjust it into real world, real time, specific type of information based on your team and their team, which you can't replicate. That's film study during the week. And I think some of these coaches are drinking the Kool-Aid more than they're putting time in the film room.
Now, in saying all that,
Because you know why? Because it's an easy thing to blame it on. The analytics said so.
I think
What
it's
am I to
lazy.
do? What am I to do?
I think it's lazy. It's a substitute for thinking.
but are the ones that are actually being successful using this algorithm, are we knowing that they're being successful using it, or are we only criticizing the ones that are failing on their attempts?
The ones
Both.
the ones who are successful with it also play their matchups properly. They're not running Josh Allen at Jeffrey Simmons. They're running plays that a lot of it's still good old fashioned football common sense. I think analytics can't put that in a variable and calculate it.
Not yet.
And we're getting there, unfortunately.
Before long, you'll be able to have real-time updates of players that are in and out and stats that are just ready to plug and play, and you're just going to move along with your Microsoft Surface and see what it tells you to do.
It's going to be like that Jetsons episode where it's robots playing football instead of humans.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I think it's where
That was a
people are
Nintendo
trying to say
game. There was a Nintendo game like that.
Yeah.
I think there was.
Oh no, I know there was. And there was a baseball one, and the baseball one is the one I played all the time. Yeah, I'm
Bo
old.
Jackson was in that one, wasn't it? The early Nintendo game.
Oh yeah,
That's
but
one.
that was actually baseball players. This was, just robots.
Yeah, I
on
remember-
wheels and shit.
It had
What's
like
it called?
I don't know.
something
everybody knows.
2000. I know
Apparently
what he's
not.
talking-
There's 4 of us right here, right now.
No, this
I
is
do
in the
know
80s.
what Adam is talking about with the baseball,
This
the
is
robot.
in the 80s. This is in the 80s.
Actually,
They're
it's an
talking
NES game. Hold on, baseball.
You know what? While you guys are looking that up, you know what's disappointing? So I got a Nintendo Switch for Christmas,
Yeah.
and one of the cool things about the Switch, if you don't know, I didn't, is that you can basically download a NES modulator or Super Nintendo, and it's like free if you're on some subscription plan. It's like $10 a month.
Yeah, the NES Online.
Right. So I started playing that and had Tecmo Bowl, and I'm like, cool, the original Tecmo Bowl. I haven't played that in probably 15, 20 years.
Tecmo
Load it up.
Bowl. That's
No, that's not what I'm talking about. No.
Well, the one
what I
Adam's
was
talking about is called
about.
Base
I'm sorry,
Wars.
Mike. I'm sorry. That's what I
Base
was talking
Wars.
about. Tecmo.
There you go. Yeah, Tecmo Bowl is the one that had Bo Jackson, and the
Yeah.
thing was, you could just basically cheat. If you took the LA Raiders, Bo Jackson, he had the one play that kind of goes like that.
Yep.
You go through the line and nobody can catch you. Well, they took and watered it down, so it's the game, but it doesn't have actually Bo Jackson, and it
Well-
doesn't have the same like attributes or whatever for the character. So I'm like, how am I getting run down? Like, you get through the line and no one can catch you in the normal Tecmo Bowl. So that's
Can
kind
I-
of sad that like kids these days, they'll never know what it's like.
can
Yeah,
I-
They'll
can I
never
ex-
know what it's like to have a game glitch on you to your favor over and over and over.
Can I
Gonna blow up
explain
the
that?
cartridge.
The NFLPA, so Tecmo in the 80s was actually the first gaming company to get licenses for the NFL and NFLPA.
It was a big deal.
First, they just had the Players Association in the original Tecmo Bowl. And then, you had Oakland play. You had Bo Jackson. And then the sequel, which is the better game, by the way, Tecmo
was.
Super Bowl, it had the players, the licenses for the teams, with the exception of a few players like Randall Cunningham and the Bills quarterback, Kelly. But it was... they still make mods for the original Tecmo Super Bowl where you can download a ROM of it with the modern rosters. Like, you can run with Derrick Henry like Bo Jackson in the original Tecmo Super Bowl.
You know what?
It's really
16
cool.
bit?
Yeah, I think
8-bit? It might have still been 8-bit.
It was
Was
still
it?
8-bit. When I was growing up, since I didn't have my family didn't have a lot of money, I still had a Super Nintendo, even though it's 10 years older than I am. So I had Tecmo Super Bowl on there, and I would always play with the Oilers and the Eagles.
They had a Super Tecmo limited edition or something that came out around that time. I remember. I know we're like way off the beaten path, but fuck it. I remember it came out Super Bowl Sunday of like 91 or 92. And I remember standing at a Target when it was opening. I was one of 5 people in the line. When they opened the doors, all 5 of us took off running, like because they only made like 10,000 copies of the game, right?
Oh wow.
I wound up with one of them, dude. It was like one of the best games I've ever played. That's like the first game before Madden and anything else that you could actually trade players. And I mean, you could get like Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith and all these guys on the same team on a Tecmo Bowl team and just wipe the fucking floor. It was some of the funnest stuff, man. I remember that.
They didn't make a football game better than Tecmo until the 2K games.
Yeah, I agree. It was a long gap too. It was like several years.
It was. So the Colts
Love it.
are bad.
Yes. How about them Jags? How about
In the
them
Clown
Jacksonville
Bowl.
Jaguars? That's right, my
Told
friends.
you they wouldn't win.
Surrounded by a bunch of Pennywise cosplayers.
Hey,
Trevor
whatever,
Lawrence
man.
has his best game of his career.
Yeah, obviously. As far as the way they dressed up, it was in protest to how bullshit that the front offices ran.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know Balky was the GM until about 2 weeks ago. I didn't think he would be allowed to have a job after the whole Harbaugh thing in San Francisco.
I agree.
That's the NFL where you get chance after chance after chance.
What is Shad Khan doing?
Who
Well,
knows?
he's not getting a decent coach down there because no one's
No.
going to jump in Jacksonville with Balky as the GM. They're going to get some interviews, but they're not going to get anybody hired down there. I think the interviews are to feel out and see if they're going to keep Balky as the GM. But everybody's saying if you're going to get a decent head coach down there, you've got to dump him and then start from scratch and get a brand new GM coach, kind of like how the 49ers did with Lynch and Shanahan.
Fire Balky, hire Doug Peterson, and go from there.
Doug
I
You
Peterson.
do a lot worse.
You could do. I mean, after Urban Meyer. I mean, after
no.
after Doug Peter. What was that name? What was the guy before Urban Meyer? The moron.
Doug Marone.
Marone. And then who was the guy before that? Bradley.
Wrong, cuz?
I mean, the
Dude,
Jags.
I can't keep up with it.
The Jags just need someone who has a decent winning track record. And yes, there's a chance he could be Ken Wisenhunt 2.0. But,
No.
But it has to be better than the last 3. Good grief.
Well, Doug Marone. Well, Doug Marone was okay. He got submarined. I think all the stuff behind the scenes kind of killed any
That
chance.
was when Tom Coughlin was running
I
shit.
feel like
Yes.
Coughlin.
When
was
they got
part-
rid
was
of Coughlin, things started to go in the right direction. I was excited when they got rid of Tom Coughlin, and then all of a sudden, here comes fucking Urban Meyer. And I was like, ah, shit. Because I saw this coming. I was kind of excited when I first heard about it, but then I was like, wait a second. Man, it's Urban Meyer. No.
No good.
No, it's not, dude. And I mean, there's nothing positive surrounding this guy except for, like Tim Tebow.
We
He's
thought
just
it'd
a
be
positive guy.
Man, we thought it'd be Spurrier 2.0. It actually turned out to be Rick Pitino. Or
Bobby
But I
Petrino.
mean, doesn't
Bobby
it kind
Petrino.
of fit the bill?
Same thing, really.
It really is.
What'd you say? Miles?
Bobby
doesn't it kind
Petrino,
of
Rick
fit-
Pitino.
It's me
My
or
bad,
my,
Miles.
sorry.
Miles.
I was saying that it kind of fits the bill for Jacksonville. It's kind of the MO.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Let's see what kind of stupid ass decisions
I
we can
hated
make.
Jacksonville. I don't. It's fun to hate the Colts and the Texans, but the Jags, it's just like, guys, get it together.
No, it's sad to hate the Jags.
They're
That's
just
what it
there.
Just you can't help but feel sorry for
I bet the Colts hate the Jags.
For
though.
you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I bet Indianapolis really hates Jacksonville.
Do
though.
they hate Jacksonville or do they hate Carson Wentz?
I would hate both. They haven't won there since 2014.
Yep, 2014 was the last time they won in Jacksonville. How about that shit?
I mean,
But it's a divisional game, though, man. That's the thing about divisional games. Just like Sunday night with the Raiders and the Chargers. And what about that game with Kansas City and Denver? Did y'all see some of those highlights?
Dude, that's
Crazy.
always a good game. That's always, I feel like. The Kansas City
I
Denver
feel like-
is always a decent game.
Denver had them on the ropes for a minute. They had the
Yeah,
lead for a
man.
good part of that game.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
They
lie.
always put up a fight.
Oh, absolutely. And they were a surprising team this year.
To go through another silly quarterback, it's just a whole nother blah of situation of quarterback. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater did the best he could. I'm not gonna just brush him aside. But
No,
come
I
on, man.
agree.
You know what I mean? To do
And their
having
defense
such a
is
shitty
very
situation,
not talked about. It's a
but they
very
did very well.
underrated defense.
Yes.
Yeah, it kept them in a lot of games, and
It
really
really
kind of
has.
started them off when they were like 3-0. That was the whole reason that they started off that way.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Bridgewater and Drew Lock are both backups at best. I mean, you can't
Yes.
run a team with those guys, and they would be good backups. We've seen Bridgewater do things in New Orleans, but they got to get like a guy to come in there and be the guy and have one of those maybe behind him. But I mean, you need like they got to get up in the draft this year and get somebody, whatever it takes.
There's
They
nobody.
need to get a quarterback while they still have some players on defense.
They
You're
find
right.
the-
There's no quarterbacks to get.
The problem with the Denver Broncos is the last decade or so, ever since Peyton left,
5 years.
they've been nothing but
7 years.
It's been nothing but mediocrity. They haven't been bad enough to get a quarterback in the draft. Next year, I think they might want to trade some defensive pieces, and they have a good start. They already traded Von Miller.
They've already gotten rid of. They've already done a lot of changes on defense, and their defense is the only thing keeping them up their head above water as it is.
I think they need to
They're
stop
definitely
treading
heading-
water. That's what I
What-
mean. They need to tank a year, get a quarterback, and get this thing rebuilding.
That's not a bad idea.
Is there free
Denver's
agencies
treading
available,
water.
quarterback?
Say again,
You'll
Ross?
have your pick in free agency this year. You'll
Oh.
have probably you can either get Baker Mayfield in a trade, which say what you want about Baker, there's still a little upside to him.
Yes.
Then
I have no
you'll
problem with Baker.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's going to be out there. I don't think the Saints are going to bring him back.
No,
He's
would-
better than what they have.
no, he's not. No, he's not.
No, he's not. Jameis Winston is not better. No.
No,
I would
he's
rather have.
Not
not
the
better than
same.
Teddy Bridgewater.
More
He's
points,
not.
but also more turnovers.
Yeah, but
I just don't like the guy.
he is all
personally.
feast or famine. Jameis Winston.
I'm
And
just
it's
saying,
mostly famine.
You could
Deshaun
have a
Watson.
winning record with that defense, and Watson is just too much of a question mark.
Yeah, he won't.
Someone's going to give him a
Watson won't
chance.
go.
Though.
Someone's going to give him a chance, but I think
Yes.
it's going to be Miami because they're just the bad decision factory.
Denver,
Who I
Denver
would
has
just-
been with quarterbacks, but I don't think they're going to take Watson.
Denver's not the right market. That market will not like that, and I just don't see John Elway making that kind of decision.
Well, it doesn't really matter for next week because next week we got playoffs. We got fucking playoffs next week, guys.
Yes.
Saturday we got playoffs. Sunday we got playoffs, and this year for the first time we have Monday night playoff.
I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Really?
Hell yeah. It's at midnight.
It's weird. Also, it's not fair to the two. Like these two teams, you make the playoffs, so they get a short week to practice for the divisional round. Whoever wins,
Well,
Yeah,
unless they
Or
play
they kind of-
Sunday, I guess.
they kind of been doing it all week or all
Man.
year. I'm sorry.
I just hate the Monday night playoff game. It's a money grab at best. I guess I get why they're doing it, but meh.
I wish it came on every night of the week during the regular season.
I feel
You know, I gotta say, man, I was a little skeptical of the 17 regular season games, and I was thinking, you're starting to get to the point where you might be watering it down a little bit because the big draw for me has always been 16 games. They all mean something. You have close races coming down the end. They finally got it to where the division game is the last game, or the last game of the season is a division game for everybody, and that's a lot of play-in scenarios, right? Well, man, this is the week 18 this year. I got nothing bad to say. There was 3 or 4 really cool games, scenarios, a lot of things behind the scenes. I was just like orgasming all over the place. The whole thing with the 49ers game and how that worked out. Obviously, the Raiders game, the Titans and the drama with Houston, the Jacksonville game, beating the piss out of the Colts. Man, I smiled for 3 hours over that shit.
yeah.
And, that was fantastic. So now you have a week that's set up with a bunch of guys who really had a claw to get in there, man. There's going to be some upsets this week.
Do you think? All right. What's your call for the upset this week, Mike?
I'm going to roll with the Raiders. I think they got the Chiefs, right?
No, Pittsburgh has
has
Kansas
the
City.
Chiefs.
Oakland will be
schedule.
playing, or my bad, Vegas
Cincinnati.
will be playing the Bengals. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders on that one, even though everybody's on the Burrow train.
The Patriots play Buffalo.
Correct. That's gonna be a war.
Yeah, that wasn't really a question.
That's the
That was a
main
statement.
That's the main event.
In
I'd
bad
say.
weather.
Yes. Is it going to be like the last time they met, where Patriots only ran it 3 times, or passed it, or pass attempt 3 times?
Depends on the
I think so.
weather. Are we gonna get
Oh, it's going to be
classic?
shit weather. No, it's going to be a blizzard.
It's gonna be a classic Bills playoff game in January.
Absolutely.
Also, Nickelodeon gets to make a mockery of one of the most famous rivalries in football with the Niners and Cowboys. Isn't that going to be fun? I mean, this is one of the most infamous rivalries in football, the Niners and the Cowboys, all those famous playoff games, and it gets to be played on Nickelodeon.
You know what's funny, guys? I pulled up the schedule on ESPN, and it shows all the games, and off to the side it has a little link for tickets, and tickets as low as $150 or whatever. So all these games are in, 100 or above, or 99 or above, and then the Bills game in Buffalo, tickets as low as $25 because nobody wants to freeze their ass.
I mean, if I was a Buffalo fan and I lived up there, yeah, I'd freeze my ass off, sure.
Cyrus,
I've done it.
You almost died at a game from freezing your ass off.
Winning in 2017,
That's not even an
Titans Jags.
exaggeration.
Hey, I got to see the greatest Jags team of all time in person. So, well, not all time. I guess that 14-2 team was better, but
was that the Mariota stuff arm game?
Yes, it was. Barry Church still is looking for his soul somewhere.
Man has kids.
Well, I think that unfortunately, I like Monday night might be my favorite game. I know that's gonna be good. I wish it wasn't on Monday night because I'll probably have trouble staying up and watching it. But I think that's gonna be my favorite game.
You want to hear a hot take? It's gonna be a blowout. I think the Rams might kill them because the Cardinals have just completely fallen off the rails.
The Cardinals, I have no confidence in them coming into the playoffs.
Is not the same team from the first half of the season.
I think Murray's done for the year. I'm not saying he's done, period, but I think when he got hurt, he got rattled, and everybody's kind of already figured out his niche. If you get pressure on him, when you get pressure on him, dude, he can't handle it. Not yet. I'm not saying that he's not going to be able to in the future, because who knows? Because I don't know.
He doesn't have receivers that can bail him out when he's scrambling. He has AJ Green as his most experienced receiver. Green is way past his prime this year. He's okay. He's like kind of level of an average receiver, but beyond him, they have nothing but average receivers, and they have Zach Ertz. But I don't think that that's enough for him to run the type of offense that he's comfortable in doing well. I mean, when they had Hopkins, they had attention on Hopkins, and the other guys were better. And DeAndre Hopkins being out that's really set them back.
That's what's hurting them. And not only that, that defense is falling off a cliff. Has anyone seen Chandler Jones? I can't find him anywhere.
Well, according to Gomer, it's the Earth 2 version of the Cardinals since week 14. So it's
a shame.
Yeah,
Gomer
it was so fun to watch.
Yep. He doesn't watch football.
Dude, check out the chat.
Can y'all football now?
Can y'all see the chat?
Yes.
No, I can now. That's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't see it on there before.
So, y'all know it's going to be the worst blowout, though.
What's that?
It's going to be Big Ben's retirement party Sunday night. That's going to be an ass kicking. I mean, it was an ass kicking 2 weeks ago. It might be worse.
Look. Let me just say something. Nobody hates the Steelers as much as I do. I think we all are on the level playing field of our hatred towards that team and franchise. However,
not a fan.
No, I'm not. Never have been, never will be. I don't understand the ridiculously over-the-top fans they have, just like fucking Alabama has. I just
it's
don't.
The 70s and 80s. It's because the 70s.
It's the same thing, dude. It's the same fan base. Fan base.
Yes.
Jesus. But that's how riled up I am. That's how pissed off I'm. Just think about. However, their defense is something to be reckoned with, and teams have had success in the playoffs with successful defenses.
It's true.
And I'm telling you, dude. Unfortunately, they might be something to worry about
if they play well against Kansas City.
And dude, I feel the same way. Like, there's literally not one team in the NFL right now that I trust to win a game right now. Not a single one, except for maybe The only team that I would feel confident in really winning a game, which I'm not that confident either, is Green Bay.
I was going to say I have two actually. The Bengals, simply for the momentum that they're on, and that last game didn't mean shit. We all know that. I think that they're, and I saw some stat on Joe Burrow earlier today. Like he's played 6 very important games in his short career between college and NFL, and is 6-0. I mean, he's under pressure. Obviously, he knows what to do. And I said this the last time. I think the coaches are trying to figure out how to use him better than they ever had before. And I think that, but another quick moment about the Kansas City game. In Pittsburgh, I think that Kansas City could lose. I mean, they've been vulnerable sometimes, for sure. And I hate to say that.
But
All right, so Tyreek Hill is out. And we have all seen this season that Kelsey, all it takes is a double team, and he's out of the game.
Oh, if Tyreek Hill is out, that does change the narrative a little bit. I don't think he was fully out the last game they played.
No, he's in. Well, I thought he was out for this game. I'm pretty sure he is.
Because he wasn't out against them last time. And again, Kansas City blew the doors off Pittsburgh just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and you don't think that Pittsburgh's ready for that this time?
That's true.
Honestly, Mike Tomlin's a great coach, and it's obviously so is Andy Reid. But, dude, Mike Tomlin is no slouch. He's one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL.
Yes.
The Pittsburgh Steelers would not have a winning record in the past 7, 8 years if it wasn't for Mike Tomlin.
I'm just going to say this, though. As a Titans fan, I would love nothing more than another crack at Pittsburgh. We probably won't turn over the ball 4 times this time, I hope.
Yeah, I will say this. I hate Steelers. But I also I like to watch gamblers lose money. It's just kind of a thing. And it's a 12.5 point spread. So if the Steelers won this game, so many people will be out their lunch money for betting on this game because Kansas City is such a sure bet. I don't see how the Steelers can pull it off. They have Najee Harris, and that's it. They don't have an offense. Their offense is putrid. Their defense is good at times, but it's also put in bad spots because the offense is terrible. And I can't believe they've won as many games as it took to get the 7 seed. But it would be great to see them win for no other reason than to put Kansas City out. Because whoever gets the Steelers next will kick their ass.
Absolutely.
And
it would be the Titans getting the Steelers next, by the way. And the Titans would love nothing more than to get a little bit of revenge for what happened last time.
Yeah.
Also,
I'd love to take Ben
sneaky upset alert. I don't know if it's an upset pick per se, but the Eagles have been running the ball really well. Tampa Bay has been a little sus recently. That could be a sneaky good one. I don't think it's going to end
Mike is scoffing at you, Cyrus. Mike is just laughing in your face right now.
Well, I mean, he probably would have done the same thing before the Washington football team versus Tampa Bay game last year, and that ended up being close.
Oh, whatever. That's true.
So we'll see.
I'm with you, Cyrus. I'm with you on this.
I think it'll be close. Philly runs the ball well.
Philly runs the ball really well. They got 3 running backs that, get it going, or at least 2 anyways. But, I mean, I don't know, man. That's an interesting game. That is a very interesting game.
You never know. Maybe Hurts. I mean, you throw a kid into the playoffs, he either plays really poorly or something else happens and he plays really well. You'd never know with the playoff atmosphere and pressure.
I'm not a believer. I just am not a believer in Hurts. And I think he's overachieved this year. I don't really buy the Hurts hype because it wasn't there at the beginning of the year. It's been there since the beginning of the year, like kind of started midway through.
And they certainly won't win because of him. They certainly won't be close because of him either.
I honestly, I haven't watched.
Of the 6 playoff games, I think this is going to be a track meet. That's my blowout.
I think my blowout's still Pittsburgh KC.
There's one thing that we talk about regularly about being on the fence about, or that I'm on the fence about, when other teams figure out quarterbacks. We've talked about.
Yeah, Kyler
Murray and so on and so forth. I mean, does that basically relate that the head coach is incapable of making the right decisions? Because, I mean, look at Lamar Jackson for a perfect example. You know what I mean? That there's been ample opportunity for him to be figured out completely, and yet they still win games pretty consistently. They're not in the playoffs now, but I mean, I don't feel like anybody's come up with a game plan for him. So if you've got a Kyler Murray, which is the equivalent to a Lamar who can actually drop the bombs, into the hands of the receivers.
Right.
Is it Cliff Kingsbury's fault that they are not winning games with their offense that they have?
Yes.
Part of it is their defense as well. Like, right, Baltimore's offense works because their defense can get enough third down stops and can prevent Once you put Baltimore in a 14-point hole, they're in trouble.
What?
Arizona is a little different. You keep
Arizona's defense is great. What are you talking about?
It hasn't been great recently.
Well,
And
that,
did you forget the Baltimore game last
Baltimore's
year?
injured all the hell. Baltimore has
they
an
had
excuse.
one this year where they can come back, man. They're not a lead from ahead team.
But Baltimore has a pretty good excuse though. They're the second most injured team in football, and they have the most starters injured as well.
Yes, but the beginning of the conversation, was basically that they know how to use him without getting figured out. Where I don't think Cliff Kingsbury obviously doesn't. Yeah, it's amazing. Like how, and what's his name with Josh Allen? What he's done up there too.
I don't agree with you, Miles, on Lamar Jackson though.
Really?
I really don't. I really don't because for one, I had him in fantasy for a while, and he didn't do dick for me.
Oh,
he did great for me when he was healthy.
Though we're not talking about fantasy though. I mean, we're talking about winning games.
I know that, but that's what I'm basing my opinion on. So just ride with it. All right. Okay. So the thing is, I don't remember him having a 200-yard game, many 200-yard games, multiple touchdowns. The only thing he really does is keep the ball alive, right?
Which is huge.
I agree.
Intangibles. Yes, it's the intangibles that he had.
Yeah. All right.
And the tangibles. Nobody else can catch him regardless if they watch tape all day. The guy can't be caught if he's healthy. He's just that fast.
Well, he's not going to be that fast next year. He's hurt. It's over. He's done.
Well,
I'm not saying
he's not.
I don't think he's done as a quarterback, but the Lamar that we knew, the one that's completely untouchable, he's touchable now, dude.
He's on a team, and it really makes me twitch to say this because I don't like the Ravens either. No. But he's on a team with a head coach that made Joe Flacco look good for a number of years. The only good years that Joe Flacco's ever had has been, the 5 or 6 there with the Ravens, right around when they won the Super Bowl. And he's been able to kind of switch and move things around. They've got a decent coordinator. I forget who it is, but I know that he's well traveled. I think it was the guy who was in San Francisco for a while. It'll come back to me when it's not important. And they've been able to change things up to where their offense is predicated on the run, not just Lamar running, but also the 2 or 3 backs who happen to be in the backfield. And this year they've had a lot of different backs in the backfield, and it's allowed him to kind of move things around. Year after year, he's finding ways to keep them in games, and they're winning most of them. This year, they had too many injuries to overcome, and they just didn't have the horses. But I think Lamar's going to be fine. I think he's evolving enough, not to leaps and bounds. He's not going to be Patrick Mahomes next year, probably ever. But I think he's evolved enough to where they can keep him around for years, and minor tweaks in the offense and personnel, they'll still be 9, 10, 11 win games or 11 win team every year.
What could we expect from Baltimore with a really good receiver? What would that
be? Nothing. No,
what the most important
on that note, real quick, let me spit this out. Is there any kind of business situation, Mike? You probably know this, where a Tyler Huntley could be playing for somebody else next year? Because I'm impressed.
I am too.
He'll get a chance. He'll get a
spot on him for a year. He's going to be in Baltimore next year. He was good enough. Because if they develop him one more year and he gets to the last year of his rookie contract, I think it's the 4th year is the last one. So I think he's been there a couple years. Then they could probably trade him and get a lot of value for him with another team, because then they can re-sign him to a new contract. And that's what I think is going to happen. In the 3rd year, I don't think they're going to get enough draft capital to move in. The 4th year, I think they would.
So what about Denver for Tyler?
I don't think the Denver's offense would work. You know why Baltimore's offense works and Huntley worked and LJ works so well? It's not Harbaugh. It's the coordinator, Greg Roman. Greg Roman might be the most important offensive coordinator a team has had since Kevin Kilbride of the Oilers in the 90s. What he has done with this offense is, they had something like 2,000 yards rushing last year altogether.
And everybody shits on Roman. Everywhere he's been, they're like, but and I'm thinking, like, no, man, this guy was fantastic.
Imagine if this guy was the coordinator during like the Titans VY years, or certain other rushing quarterbacks who have struggles in the arm department. This dude turns the traditional scrambling quarterback into the strongest suit in an offense.
The
problem is most coaches try to turn scrambling quarterbacks into Fran Tarkington. This dude realizes that's not the template anymore. The template's Michael Vick.
It is.
Yes, I agree with that. It has been Michael Vick for a while. In some, like Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in that style, if you will, since Michael Vick.
Yeah, certainly.
I can't. I mean, you've seen a lot of them try, but none of them last.
RG3's rookie year was great. Kaepernick's rookie year was great. It just doesn't last.
Right, and that's the way I feel about Kyler.
4 years. Pretty impressive.
And you're right. Maybe I'm wrong about Kyler Murray, but I think it's time. I think that it's time that he isn't.
I mean, Mariota's first couple of years, he did the running and throwing thing, and see how that ended up.
But look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton's a complete wasteland. I mean, he got about 8 really good years out of a career, and about 7 good years. I think the 8th is when he took a dip. And I look at guys like him. You go back to Steve Young. You look at all these other quarterbacks that we mentioned. I mean, it's almost like the span of a running back's career because of how much punishment they're taking. So, the other side of this, real quick, Lamar Jackson still is not re-signed, or Baker Mayfield's already signed another deal, and he hasn't signed another deal, but they've who else is in that quarterback class that signed a big deal in the 17 class? Mahomes. Everybody else in that draft class that got drafted and that has done well has signed another contract, but Lamar Jackson still is not, and he's going into a season where he's had an injury at the end of this year. I think he's costing himself millions of dollars by not holding out and not making it a big deal. He also doesn't have an agent, so something to keep an eye on.
Oh dear.
Hey, I will say this, man. If Lamar Jackson, if you're correct, and he's lost the step, then what good's he for anymore? Baltimore might want to keep Tyler Huntley.
Damn, you're a cold motherfucker, Miles.
I mean, it's cold, but that's how an NFL executive probably should think.
I know that's the way it is, but you don't have to point it out. Like, damn, man.
And it would be Lamar's fault because he doesn't have the next deal signed.
They're property, dude. They're not people.
Yeah,
you realize that?
But my point,
my God.
point is, if he had a $200 million
contract,
expressed
here on 4 Dudes in the Football are not that solely of the 4 Dudes in the Football.
Lawyers.
Well, yeah, what he said.
Yeah, but if Lamar Jackson's carrying a big bag of cash behind him, they know they can't dump him off. It's the same thing. Russell Wilson, they've had problems with him the last couple of years, but he's got a lot of money and they can't move him. So the same thing with Jackson, except Jackson they could move because it's not any dead cap hit. If they wanted to go with Tyler Huntley, you're 100% right. They could do it. Boy, people would be pissed. They would never be forgiven. I think
until they started winning.
Until they started winning. It'd be a long
Which might take him a couple of years, honestly.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I get your point 100%. Dude, it's a fact. I'm sorry that it sounds ugly, but it's the way it is.
No, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. I was just like,
that's how the executives do see it. I mean, and Lamar Jackson, once his legs are gone, I've never believed that the guy can really throw. And it's going to get really proven if he can't run anymore.
Yeah.
Like
the thesis of my point.
Yeah. If he can't throw, he's basically last year's Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Because we both know they're probably about on the same decision-making level. They really like.
He's Vince Young, basically. Guys, he's a smart Vince Young. I'm sorry.
Okay. I mean, I'm not
Vince
saying
Young won a lot too.
They're not dumb people, either Cam Newton or this guy, but they're not like when they're under fire.
Smart Vince Young.
You know.
He's not throwing his shoulder pads into the crowd.
Yeah, blowing $5,000 at the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh my goodness.
That we know of.
What a disaster.
So, do you think?
Oh, there's another one.
What's that?
I thought I had something. I didn't. Carry on.
All All right, so I feel like Kyler Murray. I think he's been figured out. That's why I think that they're gonna get their ass handed to them Monday night. I really do feel that way. What?
I think it's going to be a throw-out slugfest.
Do you?
I hope it is. The talent's
Yes.
there for it to be, but I don't know, man. Arizona seems figured out.
I
You
think
got two young
Arizona's figured out,
coaches
and I think
hungry.
the Rams defense needs to step it up. They have allowed too much shit going on lately, and Matthew Stafford. It's time to shit or get off the pot, dude.
That
Hey,
defense
The Rams brought
is
back
full
Eric
of
Weddle.
playoff experience.
Yeah, I saw that they brought back Eric Weddle because they had their defensive call person was it Fuller. Fuller
Can't
got
remember.
injured,
I think it's Fuller. Yeah.
So
so
I know
Fuller
this.
is their defensive call. The defensive whatever. He's the one that calls the plays on the field.
Green dot.
He's
yeah.
it.
Green
He's-
linebacker.
Okay. So he's injured, and so they brought Eric Weddle out of retirement. And they got another injury in their secondary, too. Another one of their starters is down. Just reading this shit before we came on. God, I need to write shit down.
They'll be fine against Arizona. I don't think it's gonna matter.
That
Dude.
defense is full of playoff experience all over the field. Von Miller's been through it all.
I don't know, man. You guys
They've been through it all, man.
Chasing Kyler Murray around is not an easy task for anyone. I mean,
It's
he'll
not.
wear your ass out just from running around. So I don't know. I hope so. But you might end up being right. But I hope it's a
And JJ Watt, he as of right now, he's still out. They haven't, they're going to
That's
wait to
important
decide
leadership.
if he returns closer to Monday, which I don't see him not playing unless it's that bad.
Mm.
So what happened to him? I don't.
He's just at that point in his career. I mean, he's injured all the time now. I don't think he's gonna
Yep.
play after this year.
It's a shame. Before
No
that
one's
first
talking about it.
injury, he was on a Lawrence Taylor like trajectory, and then he got that first injury. And
You're absolutely right.
We should call these games.
What's
I
that?
mean,
We should
Predict.
call the games as far as like who keep a record here of who thinks gonna win which game, since there's only a few of them.
Cyrus, you got a way to do on your computer to keep up with that?
I do. I can do it right
good.
now.
I'll do
we'll
it.
let Miles run it.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. I'm just gonna make it in Notepad.
Hell yeah, man.
Hey,
Best
I'm
one.
embarrassing next week.
I'm just lazy and don't feel like sitting up to type.
Honestly, I'd probably end up using Notepad too. I mean, Notepad can be used for anything. You can
We all
program
do
in it.
it.
I love it. If you ever find yourself, does anybody have Microsoft Office?
Yeah,
I
I
used to.
But you don't anymore. Nobody pays for it, is what I'm saying.
No,
I use Open Office.
Okay, well, if you have something you can't pay for and you want a little trick to edit an Excel sheet if somebody sends it to you, you can open it and they'll preview it without Excel, right? And everybody's done that. But if you want to edit the thing to some degree, not a whole lot, you can open it with Notepad and edit it freely, and then pop it back and save it back as the file it was.
Oh yeah,
Just a little note.
that makes sense. Yeah,
No pun. Put him.
because you're
Okay, let's
messing
do
with the
this.
code.
all right.
Davis,
What?
tell me your picks.
All right. So the oh, dude, I don't want to do this. That's gonna be wrong.
You want
All
to
right.
go game? You want to go
We've
game by
done
game?
this every year, man. We've done this every year.
Yeah, let's go game.
by.
All right, all right. I'm for the Buffalo Patriots game. I'm going Buffalo. I'm not doing points or anything like that because I just
No, that's fine. All right.
it's all right. So
Raiders, Bengals.
I'm going Raiders.
Okay.
I'm going Raiders on that one.
What's the next one? Eagles, Bucks.
Bucks, without a doubt. The Kansas Pittsburgh game. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going. No, I can't do it.
Please don't do this.
Oh,
Chiefs.
I hate both of them teams. I get Chiefs, but
Chiefs are on TV too much. That's why I'm starting to not like them. I'm like, man, every Sunday, like Jesus.
The Bucks too. They're in nationals all the time, man.
no, I can't. I don't like the Bucks. I'm having to choose. Teams that I don't like, but I mean,
Yes.
I also want to
Lesser
be
of two
right.
evils. All right. Cowboys or Niners?
You know what? I really don't know about that game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Cowboys on that.
I think that's not a bad choice. And then Cardinals, Rams.
Rams.
All right. Cyrus?
All right. For the Raiders Bungles, I am going Cincinnati. I think it'll be close, but Cincinnati takes it.
All right.
Burrow for 300.
That's all?
Right. But Buffalo versus New England. It's going to be a war. Belichick's going to coach a hell of a game, but I'm taking Buffalo.
All right. 2 Bills. Nice.
In Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, it's going to be closer than it appears, but it's going to be Tampa.
All right.
In San Fran versus Dallas, it's also going to be, I don't know if it's going to be even all that close. Dallas is going to win their 4th playoff game since the 90s.
All right. 2 Cowboys.
And that's probably going to be their last playoff win.
I think we've picked every
for a
fucking
while.
game the same so far.
No. Well, yeah, I guess
it seems like a predictable round, but that's when games get crazy.
You didn't pick the Bengals.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
In Steelers Chiefs, well, y'all remember Dan Marino versus the Jags?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be that. It's Chiefs by like 60 plus. It's gonna be that. Like it's guys. They're gonna get boat raced.
I hope you're right.
I don't even hope I'm right. I hope it's close, but ugh.
And I'm assuming you're taking the Rams for that last game, right?
It might be closer than it appears, but yeah, LA.
Yeah, I figured it might. All right. Mike, you're up.
Yep. So Vegas Bengals, taking Vegas. They both have momentum, man, but I think it's going to be a good story either way. But I just feel like Vegas based on this last game. Patriots, Bills. You got to take Patriots. I think Buffalo's too inconsistent. And Patriots in bad weather is a safe bet. Eagles at Tampa Bay. Man, I don't know. This game's going to be over by the midway through the 3rd quarter. It's all Buccaneers.
All right.
49ers, Dallas. Taking 49ers.
Ooh.
Okay.
They got hot at the right time. And Dallas is inconsistent. Even though Dallas played and they kicked the hell out of the Eagles the other day, they were playing against backups. I just have a feeling. It's hard to bank on the Cowboys in the playoffs recently. I'm going to take the casino killer in the next game. I'm taking Pittsburgh over the
25
Chiefs.
years. It's been hard to play for the Cowboys in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Since the
I just
90s.
had to interject. Okay.
Yeah, they've been favored in a couple of those games, and they've blown them. I remember those.
Okay, 49ers, Chiefs, I'm assuming.
No,
I'm taking Pittsburgh.
No, it's
Really?
Okay.
Yep, taking Pittsburgh. I want to see the
I'm with
casinos
you.
go down.
I'm with you on that.
I could be
all
wrong,
right.
but I'd rather be right.
Emotion.
And I'm Rams for sure.
Rams. All right. There's some difference here. It's not all the same. So there'll be some winners and some losers. I'm going to go with Bengals. Love it. I'm going to go with Pats because they're built in the same reason for Mike said. The Pats. I mean, to me, you've got wonderful skill positions on both sides. It's going to come down to coaching, and we all know who's going to win that battle.
See, I disagree with
see
that.
that.
I disagree, but go ahead.
Then I'm going to go with I'm going with the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles.
Wow.
I think all it takes is for him to get hit a couple times. See, Tom Brady's a wonderful quarterback, but would any of you argue that if he gets rattled once or twice really good, that could be detrimental to the rest of his entire game?
It can be, and it almost was last year. He didn't have that good of games in the playoffs. I think in the Green Bay game, he didn't even get over 200 yards.
They have nothing. They have nothing.
Keep an eye on Derek Barnett. For Miles' prediction to be right, Derek Barnett of the Eagles has to have like a 3 or 4 sack game. He's their best edge rusher right now, I'd say. It has to be a very good game by him. He's the X factor then.
I'm going with it, Field Yates. That's what I'm going with. Then who? You don't mind me calling me that, Cyrus, because it's actually, I take it as a compliment. The guy knows a lot. He does. He knows a lot. He came up very quickly in his broadcasting career.
That's true.
Let's see. What was it? Cowboys, Niners? I'm going 49ers.
Right.
Yes.
Nick.
And here we go. I'm going with the Steelers, like with Mike.
Ah,
I love it.
And
Oh
I
my
am the only
goodness.
one. I am the only one that's going to pick the Cardinals.
Dude,
dude,
I
I
love
want
it.
to. I want to
I
change.
want chaos.
Yes, I do
Playoffs.
too. Yeah. And really, I think the Rams are going to win. I honestly do. I'm doing this to be contrarian because I feel like that again. It's got skill sets, except for missing DeAndre Hopkins, and it's going to be coaching. And I think Sean McVay's the better coach.
I mean, y'all are the only two in America picking.
I think it's
Pittsburgh,
so. I don't know. To be honest, that's to be determined. But I do. Maybe there's an edge there. I don't know.
Yeah. No, man. The picking of the Pittsburgh, I just want to watch the world burn
I don't
because it
see how
will.
that happens.
If they cheat, oh man, I just want to watch TV for 2 hours after that game's over and just watch people just. I mean, just fucking.
I'm going on all the live sports shows after that. It's gonna be hilarious. Yeah, because
So what about all the firings? We haven't even talked about that. We haven't even touched on that. What about
let's hit
all of the firings? The Bears, which everybody saw that coming.
Good.
Matt Nagy is gone.
Yes.
Good move.
Brian Flores, which is just,
What the heck?
That is
Why did they fire Flores?
because no, yeah,
Abomination.
that's our reaction here for news in the football. We have no idea.
So from what I saw, it was a power struggle. I guess it was like a Harbaugh Balky situation, like in San Francisco, I guess.
Okay.
Except they chose the wrong guy. Instead of choosing the guy who went 8-1 in his last games with a mediocre roster and a quarterback that is a question mark, they chose the guy who put together the mediocre roster and drafted.
Which now you have Tua with the third offensive coach in his ear in 3 years. That doesn't work out ever.
Just like his mentor, Marcus Mariota. We saw how that ended.
Yep.
Mike, to be clear here, are you saying that Cliff Kingsbury is a better coach than Sean McVay? You believe that's a possibility? Yes.
No.
Oh, I thought that's what you had said because I think that's what that game's going to come down to, and I think he's going to do better at it.
No, I think that's. I feel like you called that right because I mean, if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, Kingsbury, I don't know what his name is. He's proven to not really understand time management to the level that you really need to make it an advantage. And, there's a lot of coaches like that right now. Most of them are on the younger side. McVay's not really there. McVay's been to a Super Bowl, so I think he's got playoff experience, which counts for a lot.
All right, so Joe Judge is also out.
Good.
That almost didn't happen. They almost kept him.
Yeah, they almost kept him until he ran the quarterback sneak on his own 5-yard line.
Even the last couple of days, they thought they were going to keep him. They were having meetings with him and stuff, and it seemed like they were going to roll with him one more season.
New York had to have the headlines to themselves.
Vikings guy, he's gone.
He retired.
What?
I thought they let him retire in like dignity or whatever. Zimmer.
Oh no, they fired him. Don't pay.
I mean, they basically fired him, but that's what they said in their media releases.
Oh, horseshit.
It's mutual.
Fired him. That's so. You know what? I was surprised. Seattle still has a coach.
Me too.
Really?
I thought Carroll was going to leave. Actually, I didn't think they'd fire him. I thought he was.
I thought it would be your little mutual bullshit that you just said. I thought it would have been something like that.
Me too.
Up in Seattle.
I can see that. Yeah.
So, according to Adam Schefter, the Bears have interviewed former Eagles head coach Doug Peterson for their coaching job.
Ooh.
Okay.
What about that?
You know who needs to be a head coach? Byron Leftwich.
He will get interviews places.
He'll make it this cycle. He's had 2 years with Tom, and he'll get a job.
Yep.
And so will Peterson. Those two are going to be locked in somewhere.
But where are they going to go, man? Like, to me, the best situation would be Minnesota out of all of them, simply because the owners are willing to put up a little bit of shit. Well, Seattle's still got their coach, right?
Yeah, but I think that Bears watching.
Carroll's still there.
If Pete Carroll's the lead, theoretically.
Right. But Minnesota, I mean, when you start stacking up the talent that team has, and the ownership at least has time to let you fail, as opposed to this 1 year, 2 year shit. I mean, there's some positive things there. It is in Minnesota, and that sucks. But, at least the games are played inside.
I think
Yeah.
Houston's another opening that's probably going to happen. I don't think David Culley is going to get more than 1 year. I think that they hired David Culley just to be a sacrificial lamb on a season that they knew was going to be lost, and they weren't going to get anybody better. At that point, they had already let go of Bill O'Brien when all this stuff puffed up about Watson. So
Who's going to go
think
there?
It's actually a better situation than it looks on paper. They have a decent quarterback who you can tank a season with.
Whoa! I'm sorry. I was kind of looking at my phone, trying to do a little, gathering of stuff. But what the fuck did you just say about Houston has something? They have a
Yes.
decent quarterback. Is that what was said?
He's
It was.
he's the
He got
second
better.
best rookie quarterback of the class. So I mean, he's played better than
How many
his
games has he
ceiling.
played?
He
Like 10?
played around 10 to 14
Really?
games. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyler was out a lot.
Mills actually, he started off kind of bad, but he developed okay, and he's looked better than a lot of starting quarterbacks in the league. I'd like to see what he could do with some O-line and receiver help, honestly.
I don't, because I hate Houston.
I mean,
Who's
I
in
hate
front
the
of him?
Texans too, but
Who's in front of
I mean-
him? Mac? For the best
Yeah.
performance?
Mac Jones is the best rookie
Yeah.
quarterback from this class, and
That's
then
what I would
it's
say too.
and Davis Mills and Mac Jones. Actually, if you look at the stats, are neck and neck, and then everyone else. Lawrence has had a
Well,
bad
Davis Mills
year.
has a bigger neck.
Oh, definitely. But
Let me tell you. Go ahead.
But yeah, he's surprised me.
Just the politics alone. Yes, Gomer's right about the CSV files. The politics alone in Houston would scare me off, man. Because we know the insides that are going on there, and we all, we're nothing. So I can only imagine it's got to be bad, man.
Oh, their ownership's a disaster.
I mean, they have come out and said, like, the team chaplain running the show now is just bizarre. Mike, you called that a long time ago. I mean, it's come to fruition 100%.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a bad situation, but bad situations can still hire people. Guys that really are desperate to move up, they view it as an opportunity. Maybe the ownership is something that is appealing to them. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible because if you have Peterson and you have who else did we say was going to get a job this cycle?
Leftwich, I
Maybe
think.
Leftwich. Probably that
Yeah.
guy out of Kansas City. Lemmy.
Yeah, and maybe McDaniels comes out and takes a job. I mean, you have 3 or 4 guys that will, fill up some of the spots that's open. As the musical chairs, you start getting down the last couple of jobs. I mean, they could pick up somebody who otherwise you wouldn't think they could get. And they have to let go of Culley first. It's not happened, but I think it's possible. Just want to put that out there.
If the Texans were smart, they'd trade Watson for some picks and then fire Culley and get a coach to rebuild that place.
Ship sailed. They ain't going to get anything for Watson. They'll get nothing.
No.
And they deserve
So
to get nothing.
obviously Jacksonville also needs a coach, which nobody's going to go there until they get rid of the GM.
Oh man, it would be such a good situation if they did too. They have the first overall pick, a young quarterback with tons of potential, great skill positions. I mean, they have decent receivers, a great running back. The defense has pieces. I can't believe this is the perfect situation if they fire the GM. I can't believe how poorly run Jacksonville is. Oh my goodness.
Believe it. Believe it. So I'm sorry to veer because we've been doing that all night. So Tyreek Hill did practice Tyreek Hill did practice. And also Clyde Edwards-Helaire also practiced.
Ooh.
So
Mr.
and Darrell
Unreliable.
Williams he practiced. So maybe they are playing, but dude, I'm still not sold on Kansas City. Tyreek Hill has been shady at best this year, and if he's hurt, I don't put any stock in his.
Don't get it
ability.
twisted. I don't think Kansas City is going to make it past the divisional round, depending on who they get. As long as they don't get like an injured quarterback or something in the divisional round, I don't think they can beat a Buffalo or a New England in the divisional round or a Cincinnati.
Wow, the top 5 passing leaders, 4 of the 5 made it to the playoffs. The second league leader in passing yards. Does anybody know who that is? It's off the top of your heads. Don't look it up, Cyrus.
Second, is it
Second.
either Stafford? Or
No,
Burrow?
Stafford is third. Tom Brady is first.
Yeah, I know Brady's first. Stafford was
And
nice to be second.
Patrick Mahomes is fourth, and Derek Carr is fifth. But who is
So-
number 2?
Joe Burrow.
No.
Who?
Fucking Justin Herbert.
I can see that.
Ah,
Yeah.
that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. Okay.
He's had a great
Justin
season.
Herbert. But
I
he's
forget
had
about
a-
San Diego sometimes.
Well,
Or
I would have much rather
LA.
seen.
I was
I
gonna say
would have much rather seen the Chargers in the playoffs at Pittsburgh. That would have been a much better game wherever they landed.
absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
they would have been in Pittsburgh. Would have had to play, I think, Cincy or someone else, and then they would have gotten their shit rocked by them. But, man, the Chargers would have They would have actually given Kansas City a game. That'd have been nice.
Yes, I agree with that. But I'm not out. I'm still, man. The Steelers, they're funny. They're funny.
Fuck
See.
them.
They're gonna get murdered. They're gonna die out there.
We
Either
go
way
up.
it goes, man, I'm here for it. I'll be
We go
watching that
up.
one.
Yep. Well, anything else y'all want to touch on?
I would like to express my enthusiasm for the Georgia Bulldogs. I think that was an amazing game that they played, and I am so happy that Alabama did not win.
Congrats to
I-
any Bulldogs
Yep.
fans. It's been I imagine for them it's been a long, however long, 30-something years since
40.
Herschel
40,
Walker was their
41
running
years.
back.
Yes.
Good for and that whole state has been snake bit by just the worst sports luck I've ever seen, other than the Braves this year. You lucky bastards.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, the folks around here, man, they're sponging it up. The kids got out for school on what was the game, Monday? So I guess it was Tuesday. They had like these Georgia printed off excuses with the logo on it. The teachers were taking it and let them take off school. And I had like a bunch of people that I kind of run with, and they're Georgia alumni, and they've just completely lost their shit this week. Like they can't believe that it happened because they had the same game a couple years ago and they lost. So beating Alabama makes it much sweeter. They could have won a national championship against anybody. It would have been great, but this is even better. It's like next level happiness.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
awful
And
for any of the
just to
Tech
think-
alumni living there.
A few weeks ago, they got their ass handed to them by Alabama. Not beat, but ass handed to them in
Blowout.
the SEC championship game. Stupid. So for them to turn around and for old boy to be a walk-on and to have the mental fortitude to fight his way up, and after he threw that interception in the third, I thought it was over. I thought he wasn't going to be able to come back together, but he did, and I was highly impressed, and I'm just tickled.
Dude, let me tell you guys, if you haven't seen it, when you get off here, Google Good Morning America and that Georgia quarterback's name, because the next morning they had him on Good Morning America after he'd been up all night just slamming beers. And this guy was like either half drunk or hungover as fuck. And they were just trying to straight lace interview. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, this kid doesn't want to be here. Like, he's barely coherent. It's worth the watch if you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. I heard about it, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like
so, of all, so there's the opening head coaching jobs is Denver, the Giants, the Vikings, the Chicago Bears, Miami, Jacksonville, and also the Raiders.
Oh yeah, Gruden. I think they probably keep that interim guy in Vegas.
A lot of people are saying that they're not going to keep him. Why wouldn't they? I don't understand why he's not a shoe-in for the head coaching job.
if they can get
But
Jim
they have
Harbaugh from
showed-
Michigan.
They have
Is it
shown. Oh,
Is
bullshit.
that? I was going to mention his name, yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
a Mike
watch
Mularkey
that.
situation?
No.
I
Watch
hope
it.
not.
If Jim Harbaugh signs an extension, because this is a play to get more money, if he signs an extension with Michigan, he's not leaving. If the Raiders are out of the playoffs and he hasn't signed an extension, I think he's going.
As someone who
We'll
kind
see.
of follows college ball just a
Yeah.
little bit, Michigan would be really dumb not to keep Harbaugh.
Well,
So,
it's not
we'll
their
see.
decision. It's
That's
not
true.
He paid off. He
But
paid for this year.
those
but the
boosters
past few years, not
Got
so
money. Those
Dude, he
boosters
only has
made him
one-
money in Ann Arbor, man.
After what he just accomplished this season, he only has one direction to go now with Michigan, and it's down. He topped out
He
this
could
year.
win the championship. I mean,
He's
but
not
I
gonna
don't
win the
think that's likely.
championship.
I don't think a school
No.
from the Big Ten is going to win the college
Ever.
football is becoming broken now. Like I don't know if a school
Yeah.
from a conference other than the SEC will win a national title for the next 3 years.
No.
It's kind of terrible. I hate it, but it's what it is.
Well,
Guys?
SEC football is all that matters, except for Missouri. Why they're in there, I have no idea.
I borderline hate college football anymore.
Or Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has no business being in the SEC.
Baseball.
Agreed.
Agree with that too.
Baseball. They're there for baseball. The same
I-
reason Kentucky was there for basketball.
Yeah.
Until Stoops took over and made them a football program.
Yeah, good for him though. I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
He's
Tennessee's
all right. Yeah.
hardly a football program anymore.
No.
Hupel's doing good stuff though.
That's a topic for a whole nother show right there.
Okay.
Matter of fact,
Well,
we'll touch on that kind of shit after the season.
See y'all next week for the wild card recap and the divisional preview.
There it
That's
is.
right. Rock and roll, guys. We'll see you next week.
Later.
All right, guys.
Later.
Have a good night.